I wake up every single day. I am who I say I am. And I get what I get because I live in beast mode. Stop being gazelles. You're not average. You're not even good. You were born to be great.
What's going on, world? Welcome to another edition of the Secret to Success podcast. I'm your host, CJ, joined as always by the Bayesian sensation, Mr. Karl Phillips.
Rocking around the Christmas tree.
Hey, you're already in that Christmas spirit. That's what I like to hear.
Yes,
and
sir.
The hip-hop preacher, I believe, has joined us.
What it do?
After he had a little siesta in the car, in the garage. You know you can catch carbon monoxide poisoning off that foolishness.
You say you can catch Karl what?
We'll fill y'all in a little bit later. E or K today. You know what I'm saying? It's a brief one. It ain't as intense as it was last week. But we'll get to the bottom of who got us 15 minutes late. And then also today, a special return guest. Back like MJ, hopefully better than with the 4-5 on his back. But we have our second appearance from, some call him White Lightning, some call him Jay the Wonderful. We all like to call him Josh around here. You guys heard his podcast, man, and you've been heavily requested ever since, man. So we do what the people want on the Secret to Success podcast, and we got him back on. My man Josh Hatch is back on the podcast.
Hey everybody, what's going on?
Good to have you back, brother. Appreciate you coming
What up,
on.
Josh?
And you're coming on after a bit of a controversial week. My phone was blowing up about the mattress situation. I know E was getting some texts as well. I won in a landslide, but apparently there were a few people who sided with E. His mom, his wife, and his kids, I think, were on his side with that. But E, you actually went out and bought a new mattress. So you put it on Instagram. We saw you on Instagram shopping for a new mattress. How's that new bed treating you?
Oh, it's guest bed, so I wouldn't know.
So has anybody used it yet?
Yeah, my mother-in-law came and spent the holidays with us.
Okay. Did she have any comments about was it a
You know,
pillow
my
top?
mother-in-law
Or?
had nothing to say about nothing, so she stayed an extra 3 days. So maybe it was better than I thought it was.
Yeah,
But
no
I
doubt.
definitely upgraded for sure. I definitely upgraded.
And so then we had a brief, I like to let the people in on real time stuff. So we're starting now. We were supposed to start at 6. It's 6:20 as we get started. What happened this morning between you and Karl? Because Josh and I were patiently waiting for a long time for y'all to jump on the line. And I'm yelling at Karl because Karl sends a text back say, I start working on some other stuff. I'm like, Karl, we sitting here waiting on you. And then Karl has a different version to the story. So E or K, just humor us real quick. What happened this morning?
So I got a text at 5. Hold on, let me go back to the
Oh,
text.
Evidence.
You got to come with it. Karl ain't just gonna freestyle off the top. Yeah, go for it, Karl.
So 5:13. So 5:13. He says he's in the garage. Call when I'm headed his way. He asked if I had a headset. I was like, bet. So whatever. We get to about 5:40, and I did text. So I'll do the first mistake I made. I'll confess. The first mistake I made is I didn't call. So I text Ian. I was like, yo, I'm about to walk over now. So I get over here and I ain't hear nothing. I'm at the garage. Of course, E outside because we don't want to wake Didi up. So we usually do it in the garage. I ain't heard nothing. I text back. Here, E, where you at? Still no answer. So then Josh texts after, like, what's the number? We got the number. We got everything sorted out. And I still hadn't heard nothing from E. So I'm back at home now, just chilling. I'm like, okay, it's a couple of minutes. Let me see if I can do something. I opened up some emails, started doing something. And I just text E and I was like, yo, hit us when you ready. Still nothing. So the next message I get is Josh like, yo, we waiting on you. What's up? And I'm like, what you mean? I hadn't heard nothing from E yet. So I'm assuming E knocked out in the car. So I was just at home waiting. And E quick with it. Like, E not the dude that's going to sleep for an hour. E going to take, 5-10 minutes. So I'm thinking E going to hit us right back, as soon as he get his quick refresh and, we good to go. But I ain't heard nothing. So I'm just waiting. And then Josh is calling me like, yo, where you at? So, hey, I'm here. We getting it in.
And so I call E and he picks up first ring and I'm like, yo, E, what's the deal, bruh? He says, oh, I'm sitting here chilling, waiting on Karl. So E, please, your version of events.
Oh, no version. You said you called me. I pick up the phone. So
Yeah.
I just said to Karl, and I guess the error was I didn't say, Karl, I'm in the car chilling, text me. I said, I'm in the car chilling, call me. So you called me.
Oh, but you did say call me.
Yeah, that's all. I just it wasn't no Karl. The text was just miscommunication. He saw text me.
Oh,
I
no.
put call me. That's all.
I like how you suddenly jabbed him right there. Yeah, Karl.
I'm saying I didn't jab him.
You felt it, see?
I didn't jab him. You just said, see, you called me. I
Yeah.
picked up on the first ring. So what I should have said to Karl was, Karl, I'm in the garage. It's 5:13. I may fall asleep. Call me because I might not see the text. So again, it's the same thing that happened last week. It's just communication. One person hears one thing when you say something, another person hears something else. Karl didn't hear call me.
What does the text say? Does it say call or text me when you get over here?
It
did say call. It did say call. It did say
All right,
call.
do me a favor, Karl. Hold this L.
I'll take it. Hey, but let me add one thing. See, let me add one thing. I'm just saying, understand that usually I would text E just because he in the house with Didi sometimes. So I'm used to texting. So, but I'll take this one.
Now that is a good point, Karl. Nobody wants to call E house and wake up Didi for sure.
Not at all.
Like nobody wants to call
And
nobody
that's why
house.
I said call, but I didn't really go into complete detail because he normally would text me, which I said last week. And let me just say this to the listeners, because I ain't C. C likes to do the debating and go back and forth. I can't do it 2 weeks in a row. But I will say if you go back to the text or go back to Instagram, it's not true that everybody called him and was on his side. If you look at the Instagram, you had quite a few people that was like, why would he ask you for your bed in the first place? So make sure when you're telling the truth, see, you go all the way with it.
So there's
let's
the
hit back to Instagram.
The problem with your Instagram followers is they don't comprehend English because I never asked you to borrow a bed.
No, I'm just saying.
I have a bed.
Yeah, we're not going to go back over that. I'm just saying, go back on the Instagram and you'll see that there are people that was on Instagram that did say, so it wasn't just my mom, my wife, and my
I said it was a couple people now. I said
no, you didn't say it was a couple people. You said
mostly
my mom,
family,
my wife, my child.
How did this turn into E or C again? This is supposed to be E or K. I'm moving on.
No, it don't got to do with E or K. You made that up. Karl didn't say that. He wasn't tripping on who was right.
Well, sometimes I like to start between other people too.
We might need to get Josh to go through Instagram and do the numbers.
You know what? Since we do have Josh on the phone, Josh is
I'm
not.
just saying when you get to choose it and say it, I just want to make sure you're not
being
biased.
I didn't know.
I don't
with
even
this
care if it's
situation, I didn't choose anything.
But my mother-in-law didn't vote. My mom didn't vote, and my kids didn't vote. I want the real people on the Instagram that actually voted.
Okay, hold on. Well, we have an unbiased member here, right?
Oh, we don't got to do it now. Josh can look at the numbers later.
You've been giving these people TGIMs. You've been giving them UOUs for years. They biased
and look
towards
at the numbers. So Josh can do that next week. I'm sure he didn't get on this time to do it, but he can do that. And then when he come back next week, he can give us the accurate numbers.
Oh yeah, no. I'm not talking about that. I was curious as to what Josh's.
Oh, I don't care what Josh thinks. The numbers we've already asked the people, and they've put in their votes. So let's just count them and see.
So are you saying that you won on Instagram? Is that what you're saying?
So that's all I want to do.
Hold on, are you saying that you won on Instagram though? Because it sounds like you tallied them already.
I'm saying you said you won by a landslide. My mom, my wife, and my child were the ones that voted for me, and I'm saying there was a couple more people other than my mom who didn't vote either way. Didi probably thought I was wrong because she always said I don't communicate effectively, and my kids didn't have anything to do with it. So I want the few people that did side for me, I want their votes to be counted. That's all. I didn't say I won. I just wanted to be accurate.
Hey, side project. I've got this. Side project.
You said
that's your job next week, Josh. You got to give us a couple. You know what I'm saying? Just count it up, Josh, and then give us a couple stories. This person said this person said that, just so that we're accurate.
Hey, let me go on the record, and say that this is twice, though, we got E in a communication issue. So I just want to say there might be a common denominator.
Oh, I said that last week. I can't wait to hear
I told y'all when it comes to communication,
that ain't necessary. Well, let me say this. I communicate very well as a speaker, but when you're talking about what people hear, I went the other day and the lady didn't give me ketchup and was like, what in the world happened? And my wife was like, I don't know if you asked her for ketchup. I was like, oh, okay, I probably didn't.
And then you bought 16 bags worth of Chick-fil-A sandwiches with chicken
Without
and cheese
chicken.
and egg with no chicken on any of them joints. And
And
swerving
Karl was
down,
right
you told
there
the
with me
lady,
when he said,
hey,
"E,"
see, now you
he
can't
said
have
it
it both
the
ways,
first
though,
time,
E.
and
You
then
can't
the
have it
second
both
time
ways. You
when
can't
said
say
it, he said
Chick-fil-A
something
is the
totally
best
different.
thing
So
smoking.
I promise you I don't have a problem taking the L when it comes to communication.
Right, but I'm saying you can't say Chick-fil-A is the best thing smoking. And then they got your whole order wrong. You was like, I'm going back up there and getting my money back. I don't know if that was them or you, but either way, yeah, we'll look forward to more of these, man. And y'all are great for playing along. And you know, I know what my text said. And somebody go on Instagram for us to tally up the votes and see who won that. Let's jump into Am I Tripping? Because I do have an Am I Tripping or, and y'all know I've been working on the album. And anytime you go into the album mode, it's crazy because you're working with other people. And sometimes when you're working with other people, they kind of move on their schedule. They don't necessarily consider your time slots and all of that. And apparently, like producers like to work late night. So I've been up late the last few nights. I told you guys 2 nights ago. I think I went to bed at like 2, woke up at like 3:30, finished the whole album. So then, of course, yesterday, I'm talking about I was blew out the frame. I laid down to take a nap. I said at like 1 o'clock, I was like, all right, cool. I was like, let me just take a quick nap. I'm going to get up and finish this album. I laid down at like 1:30. I set my alarm for 2:15, 2:30ish. I was like, okay, catch me 45 minutes to an hour, get back up and grind. It's 5:30. My wife is like shaking me, like, wake up, what are you doing? You got to go. She was like, it's 5:30, go get your kids. And it was dark outside. Y'all know the time change got me through all. It was dark outside. I had laid there for like 4 hours. Yo, I woke up, I thought I was like in The Walking Dead. It was like a Twilight Zone. I was like, I thought it was the morning. I didn't know what happened. It was all kind of crazy. I'm like tripping because I'm like, yo, I forgot my kids. My kids still up at daycare. Like, am I tripping, or have you ever fallen asleep like when it's day outside and woke up when it was night and completely felt like your body was about to just shut down and die?
Hey, so in Michigan, man, I'm telling you now, the last couple of weeks, and it's tough after coming back from Australia and being messed up with the time zones and all that.
Karl still messed up.
But what, we've been back for like 2 weeks now. And I promise y'all, this weekend is about the closest I got back to regular. But what makes it tough here, see, is that the days are so gray. Like, I promise you, like 6 o'clock in the morning and 3 o'clock in the afternoon look exactly the same. Like, this just so gray in the day. Like, you don't know what time of day it is. Like, so the day is like a blur. So, like, honestly, you take a nap in the day, and you don't know what time of day it is when you get up. So, that, yeah, I'm with you on that feeling. Like, I'm talking about you lost. You completely lost. Like, I messed around and took Australia. What Australia did to me was I had to get a nap. Like, for it's the weirdest thing, but like 6 p.m. Like, I just could go all day, and 6 p.m. my body would crash. And I'd wake up at like 8:30, and I promise you, it's just so like twilight. Like you said, see, twilight. I have no idea where I am, what time of day it is. My kids looking at me like, hey.
Oh, man. You so discombobulated, bro. I was like, man, and after I got the kids, I came back home. I was just sitting on the couch like, yo, I barely could do anything. I had to go back to finish up the album. Yeah, no, it's tough, man. So, yeah, I just was wondering if anybody else experienced that. I woke up, I had like 30,000 text messages in my phone, 100 missed calls. I'm like, yo. My wife was like, what in the world are you doing? I'm not a napper. Like, I don't take naps usually. And so I definitely wasn't used to that. So I was a little concerned about making the podcast this morning, but I made it, thanks to Folgers. You know what I mean? A little coffee in the cup and we're good to go. Real quick, I just want to catch up, man, and I didn't get a chance to be with y'all even though I was in Michigan. I didn't get a chance to see y'all much on Thanksgiving. Everybody, Thanksgiving was good?
Yes, sir. Just laid back for me. Just spent time with the family, man. Just low key. No phone. Just threw the phone in the corner somewhere and just low key.
Yeah, everything was great. Thank you. I have Thanksgiving and then Heather's birthday. My wife is 2 days later, so it's a weekend of celebration for us. Great weekend.
Yeah, awesome, guys. And mine was great too. You guys know I was up there in Michigan, and got a lot of family and a lot of friends, and just got a chance to see everybody and lay back. The Lions won again. I try not to bring the Lions up too often, but we are in first place. Somebody write it down. We are in first place, and it feels good. So great Thanksgiving, man. I hope everybody out there listening had a great Thanksgiving as well. Listen, man, I had a topic, that I wanted to go over. We talked to our Breathe You family about it last week, and I'm sure we'll continue that conversation going forward. But one of the themes, and I always like to, as I said, I always like to come up with the theme of what the next year will be based off of what we did this year. So in 14, the greatness is upon you, mantra was kind of out there. And so in 15, we did the greatness is upon you tour. And then in, 15 for us, it was average, skill, phenomenal will. That was kind of the thing that ETA was on as a company. So in 16, the tour was average, skill, phenomenal will. And so I was looking for that thing that E was kind of talking about, or something that he was hitting on that moved me for this year. And I was going through all my notes from every time E spoke. And if you come to a conference, if you see me in Philly or see me in New York, like I'll usually stand off to the side, and a lot of times he'll call on me, and we'll engage in a dialogue during it. But I got my phone out, and it's funny because somebody asked me after a conference, a couple of weeks ago, like, what are you doing on your phone? Like think I'm texting or something. I'm like, yo, I'm taking notes. Like, I think people don't understand that, I still have a wonderful opportunity to hear the greatest speaker in the world speak on a regular basis, and he's always saying things that I've never heard before. So I'm literally on my phone taking notes while he's talking and making sure I'm staying ready to engage with him. But I looked back over my notes while we were in Australia, and I heard E while we were in Australia, and the one thing that kept jumping out at me, and it's actually the subtitle to the album, was Stay Ready. And so the album is called The Resolution, Stay Ready. So what we do in 17 now, because of what happened in 16, what we do in 17, the mantra, just so everybody knows, is stay ready. Like, that's what we're on in 17. And the reason I say that is because he said something that kind of, brought it all to fruition for me in Australia. He said, it wasn't what happened to you that broke you. It was the fact that you weren't ready for what happened to you that broke you. And when he said it like that, he had kind of been like hitting around it all year, but he never said it quite so succinct. And in Australia, when he said that, it wasn't what happened to you that broke you. It was the fact that you weren't ready for what happened to you that broke you. And he went into Didi and the MS, and he said, when my wife got MS, I was ready. She was ready. We were ready emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically. Our marriage was ready. Financially, we were ready. We were ready to absorb that blow. And I'm sitting here telling y'all from firsthand experience, not only did it not break them, it literally propelled them to go further. And I think he would tell you they have a better marriage now. Didi seems healthier than she's ever seemed. Y'all seem more on one accord than you've ever seen. And I'm like, wow, that's such a deep concept. Because when you think about it, when you say stay ready, most people, when things happen, they break. They bend, they fold. And then they have to like start all over from scratch. And so there's this constant, like you might have got to 50%, then you back to 10%. You might have got to 70%, then you back to 20%. And if you could hold, right? He always talks about the brave heart. Hold. If you could hold right there, take the blow, not go backwards, and then use that to almost propel you forward, you'll be in a whole nother spot, but you have to be ready for it. And so I guess, E, what I wanted you to talk about, and the rest of you fellas, you guys can jump in. What I wanted you to talk about is, how do you stay ready? Because I'm going to tell you what happens. Most people wait and their wife get MS and they're like, oh, I got to go grind. And for those of you who hadn't heard the story, the insurance company told E that they weren't going to pay for the pill. It was $10,000 a month. E was like, bet, how you want it? You want it cash? You want a card? I ain't about to sit here and cry and argue with y'all. I'll pay cash if I need to. Most people would wait until their wife had MS and then be like, oh, I really got to get on my grind now. My wife's sick. Let me try to do all of these things. E didn't panic at all, but it was because you were ready. So E, can you walk us through, and then guys, walk us through what you see. How do you stay ready? 17 is coming up, flat out. It's coming, And guess what? Something's going to happen. Unfortunately, somebody's going to die. A grandmother, a grandfather, a relative. He had 5 aunts die. Like, something is going to happen, but you have to be ready. He talked to us about how exactly we stay ready.
When Karl talked the other day on the Sunday Breathe University call, he used the word forecast, and I thought that was a simple way of, really just summing it up, like forecast. And I think when I have studied some of the greats that I've had an opportunity to study, over the years, people who are considered, beast in whatever, genre they're in, I keep seeing forecast. Tupac, Pac was gone and still, had, albums. I just look at people like Michael Jackson, I look at, Michael Jordan in terms of leaving the game. You were talking earlier about 45, but when Mike was, not at his best at the Wizards, he was still forecasting. I believe he didn't come back to win a championship, but he came back to put himself in a position one day to own a team. Gretzky, it's just a lot of people who they forecast. They kind of thought about life after the game, even while they were playing the game, and position themselves. And then there are people who played the game, and once they left the game, they're broke. Like, they don't have anything, and so their dominance was only, during that one time frame. So I've looked at the difference, like, there's people who are at the top of their game and fell off, and there are people who are at the top of their game and created another top. So I'm always forecasting, and I'm not a negative person, so I'm not thinking about, man, this is going to happen or that's going to happen. But I do in the back of my mind think about, what's the worst case scenario? Like, what could go wrong? And based on what could go wrong, how do we plan or how do we prepare ourselves, for that? How do we prepare ourselves spiritually? So I got to get up and pray every day for 10, 20 years so that on the 15th year when something negative happens, I've got 14 years and 6 months of, prayer. Like, you just put money in a deposit that you're not using. You got like a savings account. So I've done that into my spiritual life. I put money aside. Like, I only lived off of 30% of my income, for so many years. I didn't say, well, I'm making all this money, let me buy a new house. I think my house is 23 square feet, 2,400 square feet at tops. What I'm saying? I didn't buy a new house, or I didn't buy this large times share or something. I just was like, live off of 30%, because one day something negative may happen and you want to be in a position where you can take care of yourself. So like I said, Karl, I thought that was a brilliant word that he used on the BU call on Sunday, is that you have to forecast. You have to think about, the weather report said that it was going to be 70 degrees outside, but what if it rains? What if it snows? You have to be prepared. My thing is, if it doesn't snow, then you cool. If it doesn't rain, then you're cool. But if it does, and all you went by was it's going to be 70 degrees outside. If you're not prepared, then you're going to get caught slipping. And that's the thing that's crazy. When you do get caught, in an unexpected situation that you're not ready for, it's more devastating, because again, you weren't ready for it. So you don't know how it's going to hit you. Where at least if you're prepared for it, even if it hits you, you got some, extra money in the bank, or you have, emotionally or spiritually you're prepared. So again, I think that's it, forecasting.
Yeah, and I got to give a shout out, and I'll let you guys jump in, Josh and Karl. I got to give a shout out to Josh Letzitz from BU. I was talking to him about the concept, but he had heard us talking about it on the Breathe U call Sunday, and he was like, when you said that, it reminded me of, like, some of my friends are like MMA fighters. And he was like, they're not like the Conor McGregor, top dogs, of the industry, like the UFC guys. These guys are like guys who are like, the guys they call up 2-3 weeks before the fight, like such and such got an injury, such and such had a dirty drop. Like, you need to be ready to go. Let's go. And so he was saying the difference between them and somebody who's got a fight, June 17th is they got training camp. You know, they kind of know, okay, in March we'll enter training camp and start eating right and doing all these things. But he was saying when you're a journeyman and you kind of somebody that gets called up, you have to be ready at all times. So there is, at no time can you just be eating crazy. At no time can you just be sitting there chilling on the couch watching TV. These guys have to be in peak prime physical condition or they could seriously get hurt when they go in there. And I thought that was just a brilliant example of, kind of how in a certain profession, it can be dangerous if you don't stay ready. And Karl and Josh, I'm not sure if you have anything to add to that, a situation where you had to be ready. I told y'all on the podcast, I failed the test when Avery was born. I was not ready for that situation, but do you guys have a story of when either you were or were not ready for a situation and kind of how you handled that?
I think it comes all the way back to what most people know the brand for. There's a few key phrases, but it's the lion and the gazelle, and many people need external motivation to get themselves going. So they need something to happen in their life to kind of kick it into a new gear, to really get after it. And E never needed that. E has internal motivation. He's already getting prepared. Just like you just talked about with the MMA fighter, they have to stay prepared for that fight. And so, I believe that in life, if you need something to happen for you to kick it into gear and be ready, you're already behind the 8 ball. We talked last time I was on the podcast, we talked about my story, but I've always tried to prepare myself, and he just mentioned a minute ago, financially and emotionally, knowing that there are no guarantees in life, whether that's business or health. And so prepare yourself as much as you can to take care of those non-controllables so that you can control the rest. You can control your emotions. You can control your effort. You don't sit down and just think about what happened to you. You just get back to...
Right. And at the same time, though, as I'm hearing both of you guys talk, I'm like, at the same time, you don't want to become a hypochondriac. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to sit back like, oh, what if somebody, dies? What if somebody, you know what I mean? Like, how do you balance between, like, the fear of something happening and then, staying on, on what you got to do daily?
So
E, I don't know what you think.
Oh, go for it, Josh. I'll come in after.
Oh, sorry, Karl. I was just going to say, I don't know what E thinks, but you don't have to be a hypochondriac if you're ready because you're prepared.
Right, true.
You don't have to worry because you're prepared.
So, hey, this not... Yeah, so I was watching for a quick second last night. Michigan played last night? Basketball. Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
So the game was not interesting at all, I'll be honest. It was on. I was doing something else. But I don't know why this stuck with me. But I think Michigan went up by like 15 points or something like that. And the commentator said the only way Virginia Tech is going to get back into this game, and y'all watch basketball, y'all watch sports. So, everybody talks about make this possession count. You can't turn the ball over, this kind of stuff. But the word he used, he said they have to value the ball. And I was like, huh? Like, that's just not language that you hear on a basketball game. You know what I mean? Like, you're real specific when you talk about basketball. Make sure you get to the post, the big man, whatever. They're real specific about what they have to do. Like, next defensive stop. He said, no, they have to value the ball. And that thing just stuck with me. This is last night. And I kept thinking about it like I woke up this morning. That was the first thing on my mind. And I think that's the answer to your question. See, when you value something, you're doing everything that you possibly can to protect that. So, like, you're creating, you know what I'm saying? Like, you are almost going ahead, like, how do I best protect? Think of a baby. How do I best protect this? You're not going to put your baby to sleep on the floor. Like, how am I going to put this, in the best position for it to work for me, to work for our business or whatever. So I think the key word is value. So when you value something that's strong, I heard a guy, this was a success series last year. He said, he was talking to the students. He was like, you wait till the final exam to stay up all night. He's like, create something. That's the word I want to use for this. Create a circumstance. Just test yourself. They test, what do you call it? They do fire drills for a reason. Test it. Like, you create a circumstance that's like, you know what? Next week, I'm going to pretend as though whatever, my business went bankrupt. And let me get into that zone of being ready to value this thing because I don't want to ever lose it. So create a circumstance where, you know what I'm saying? In your mind, it's your mind. You can make up whatever you want. You know what I'm saying? It's your mind. It's your business. It's your life. It's your marriage. Create something. Like tell your wife, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I feel like you let her know what you're doing. Don't tell her you're on the brink of divorce, but tell her, yo, we on the brink of divorce. Let's do something and make this marriage get back to where it needs to be. But, you know, whatever the example, but create something. And that way you're not like, you know, just standing with your mouth open if a scenario comes up. You're ready for it because you value every piece of that thing.
Yeah, no, I think that's good, Karl. And I think the thing that I was not struggling with, but just thinking in my mind, like, okay, when we go into 17 and we're trying to explain to people this concept, you know, he always talks about finding your why, right? Like your why. What's your why? You know, somebody in your family sick, you want to do it for your mother. You want to, you know, and this is kind of like before the why almost. You know what I mean? Like, does that make sense? Like, so you would say, okay, man, I'm grinding because, you know, my mom got sick. Well, we're asking you to grind and your mom's not sick. You know what I'm saying? Like, almost like this is almost like the precursor to the why. You know what I mean? Like, before you even get, like, if I'm, you know, 21, 22 and I'm single and I don't have any kids and I don't have a wife, like, how do you get that person to understand that these things are around the corner and get them to work with that much intensity as if it's already happened?
Hey, real simple.
But does that make sense though?
Oh, perfect sense. See, like, yeah, you asking me to create something that don't exist. It's a hurricane coming. You know what I'm saying? Like, you telling me prepare for a hurricane that's not here.
Right.
It ain't even no rain. So perfect sense. But I remember I had a conversation with a BU student, and he literally was telling me, like, hey, my life has been great. I don't have no problems. He's like, so I'm studying for, I think he was studying for the bar or some major exam. And he's like, I'll be honest, I don't even have the energy for it. Like, I feel like, you know, I'm going to pass it. Everything's been good. And I just don't feel like studying. But he's like, it still concerns me because I don't want to go fail. Like, you know, my parents have been paying for law school and all that. And I told my man, do me a favor. Stop studying and go put yourself in a position where you got to help somebody. Go to an orphanage. Go to, you know, all person's home or something like that. Get yourself around somebody else. If you're talking about kids, get somebody around kids. Get yourself in the experience. You know what I'm saying? Get yourself out of your shoes and see what it looks like for somebody else that's going through it. You don't have to live there. You know what I'm saying? Go spend a week with them. You know, go visit for a couple of times and see what it looks like. Kind of empathize with them. Like, yo, what would I have to be doing? Like, what would my life look like if I were 75 years old? You know what I'm saying? Like, put yourself in a position for a couple of days and then come back and say, like, whoa, this is a reality and I'm not making it up. I just saw it. Like, it's real. This could happen in my life. You know what I'm saying? So you put yourself in a position and then you get your mind to work. Like, yo, let me not let this happen to me. Or better yet, how can I help somebody in this position? You know what I'm saying? Put yourself completely out of yourself and just work toward that. But don't sit and look at your life as it is. Because, like, you're right. See, it feel weird. Just like, okay, this not real. How am I going to do something that's not real? You do it by immersing yourself.
And I say that because, you remember, it was a guy at the conference. He came to Australia. I think he was in Perth maybe. And he came up to me afterwards. He waited to the very end, and he came up to us and was just like, yo, I'm going to be honest, I have no why. He was like, I have no why. He was like, my parent, might have been in his mid-20s, 30s. He was like, yo, I started a successful company, like, off of the, you know, with a loan from my parents. My parents are doing very well. You know, I don't know if they're millionaires, whatever. He was just like, everybody's well off. My sister's well off. He was like, I'm well off. I'm single. He was like, I literally have no why to kick it into that next gear. And Edie, you remember what you told him?
Yeah, I you know, there are people out there, you know, Josh, that you were talking about, you know, let's think about what could happen. There are some people just I mean, quite frankly, they're not interested in that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't see the benefit in that. So there's no reason for us to, you know, try to push them. Like, there's some of you that you like, oh, okay, I hear what y'all saying. Okay, I'm going to try to do it. There are other people, Josh, just the way they're wired, you know, maybe they can't, you know, go to the negative or can't think like that because, you know, they've never experienced that. So I'm going to say I look up to, you know, those franchises that have been able to, you know, be dominant for years. You know, you got like, you know, the Chicago Bulls, the LA Lakers that, you know, have three-peated, et cetera. Like, you got the women's basketball, Connecticut basketball, that I don't even know how many times, you know, they've won. So if you're out there like this young man who's only seen success, I tell people all the time, then think about what does it take to sustain that, because if you're successful, it doesn't guarantee that you'll be successful, next year. There are companies, that are out of business. So I was looking at, of course, C talked about Netflix, and what blew my mind was Netflix went from doing what Blockbuster did, and I guess they are afraid that they will be Blockbuster one day and they want to stay on top. So I'm like laughing because now I'm like, not only are they, well, one time you can rent movies from them, now they're producing movies, so I think Chappelle just signed a deal for like 60 mil. I saw an original, Netflix has a
Who
movie
did
coming
Denzel?
out. Say it again.
Oh, Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle.
Oh, sorry, I
Dave
misheard you.
Chappelle,
Chappelle.
Yeah.
And he's
Chappelle.
not the first. I think
Yeah.
I forgot who it was, but somebody else did like 40 mil like last year. Like
Yeah, I'm
they're
just saying
signing
that's
people
crazy.
up.
They signing deals, they're doing original movies, and so just think of a company like Netflix that maybe they weren't afraid, I don't know, but maybe they weren't afraid that they were gonna fall off, but maybe they wanted to stay dominant, so they went from a we don't compete to a we dominate type mindset. So I explain to people who've been successful their entire life, think about sustaining that. What does it take to sustain that? And think about what does it take to, continue that type of greatness for the next 50 years? And then what would it take to give it to my children? So you don't want to go to the negative, but okay, let's stay positive. We want this to be generational. What did your father or mother do to give it to you? And what is it going to take for you to give it to your kids, to give it to your kids? So either way, Josh, I mean, you can take it either way, but I think nothing is absolute. There is no once successful, always successful. If you remain successful, there's a mindset you have to have, and then there's some characteristics that have to follow that mindset if you're going to continue to have, to enjoy what you currently have.
Yeah, one simple thing that I think people can do is they can always end a sentence just by saying yet. I haven't had a university yet, or I haven't had a success yet. You have to finish it with yet, because adversity is going to come, but if you stay on it, so is the success, right? The positive side of it. So when you're thinking about your future and you're talking about things that have or haven't happened, if you stay, as you get older, you will find out that it hasn't happened yet, and so you need to be prepared.
Yeah, no, y'all are hitting right on it, man. And I hope people, like I said, y'all gonna hear a lot of it in 2017, and I'm sure we'll talk a bit about it in New York and Philly this weekend. But that stay ready concept, man. When you hit me with it in Australia, I was just like, wow. And I just think about how many people get broken, like marriages, like for real. If your marriage is like on the rocks, MS could crush your marriage. You know what I'm saying? Like flat out. Like I remember one thing you always used to talk to me about was like, yo, make sure your marriage is solid before you have kids, because kids is a major shift. And a lot of people think kids are going to make the marriage stronger or whatever, but having kids is a huge shift in the relationship, and you need to be ready for that. Like, and I remember you talked about you had some friends who, for real, once their wives got pregnant or whatever, it was like that was the beginning of the end for them in terms of their marriage. And I remember being scared, like, whoa, like, that's a real possibility. It's such a shakeup and such a shift to your normal routine. And I guess that's something I want you guys to talk about is when and I asked E this in Australia, I don't know if he remembers, but I'm like, yo, how do you stay ready? Because I'm gonna be real. Like I told y'all, I'm a fan. I'm learning from E. I'm not E, right? Like I'm just be real. If my wife caught MS, I can't guarantee that I'd just be hallelujah, thank you, Jesus, like E was. That I'm not on that level yet, but I'm trying to get to that level. And I asked E, how do you get to that point? Like practically, okay, it's cool, but you say I'm ready mentally, physically, spiritually, like. And I think that the answer you gave me, and you can just expound on it a little bit, and we'll get off of it. But you said it's the routine. Like you had been doing it so long. So talk about how important the routine is. So it's not like you wake up every day and go, oh gosh, this person can have this person can have this. Oh my God, I got to stay ready. Da, da, da. It is, this is the heart of what I do every single day, so that when it's time to go into battle, I'm ready.
Yeah, I think it's, for somebody who's running a marathon, it's going to be a lot easier. Somebody sent me a schedule for a half marathon the other day, Cynthia, from BU. And, at first, I'm going to be real. I'm not, I don't run marathons. I have friends who run them. And when we talk about, reasons, and we'll talk about this at the conference, because I think it's just so important. But I got friends who are running them, but some friends are running them because, their children, were born with some challenges or whatever. So it's like, man, I'm not saying it's easy to do, but, when you running because your child, has a mental or a physical challenge, that's a pretty strong why. I said the other day, I ain't never went on no crazy diet, workout, hookup, because the most I've ever needed to lose was about 20, 25 pounds. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never needed to like go hard. So when you have a certain reason for something, right, it changed the game. So she sent me like, okay, we're gonna do this half marathon. I'm like, oh, first of all, E, you do have to have a reason for running 2 hours and some change, because that's how long it's gonna take me to do that. It's gonna take at least 2 hours. So I'm like, you gotta have a reason to run 2 hours and some change. So I was a little, what's the word I want to use? It was a little intimidating. I was waiting for the document she sent, and then when she sent me the document, it was like, okay, you run 30 minutes. So many days or whatever. Then you run 1 mile 1 week. Then you run 30 minutes, whatever. Then the next week you run 2 miles. And then the next week, it was like, I think it might have been about the 8th week where you run like 5-6 miles. And I was like, oh, I could do this. I'm running 30, 40 minutes a day. You know what I'm saying? On a good weekend, or if I'm like in Australia on a trip and I don't have like my daily routine, like my family ETA or whatever, I can run an hour with no problem. And I can put in 6 miles. So when I looked at the schedule, I was like, you don't get to 6 miles until week 6. I'm like, I'm already strong enough to start at week 6 right now. You know what I'm saying? And so it wasn't as intimidating because I'm already running. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying I'm practicing for a half a marathon, but according to this doggone piece of paper, it looked like that's what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm running at least 5-6 days a week. So for me, that's the easiest way for me to explain it, because for some people, they're kind of like, well, how do you prepare for an illness? Well, it's not the illness that you're preparing for. Just like I wasn't preparing for a half marathon. I was preparing for, I'm about to be 50 in another 4 years, and so one of the things that I have to make sure I do is some cardio every day, get my heartbeat going, what I'm saying, let the blood flow, do a little resistance to, get my muscles stronger. What it takes at 20 or 30 for your muscles to be strong, and at 46 is totally different. My metabolism, it ain't what it was when I was 23. I could eat all day, every day, and wouldn't pick up a pound. It's the opposite now. If I look at food, I pick up weight. You know what I'm saying? So, I got to do stuff to stay. And I'm being real. Like if y'all watch me on, Secret to Success video, that's my weight naturally. That means I don't have to do nothing. I can eat, wake up, live life, and I'm gonna be 235. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it is. Right. My weight right here, this is 4 hours of running a day. This is walking 6 miles a day. Like I need y'all to see that. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta put it in. So now that I'm working on my health, somebody tell me to run half marathon, I'm halfway there because I'm already on my health. I'm already taking my health serious. So I was spiritually praying for 15, 20 years, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. You know what I'm saying? I was reading my Bible every day. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to church. I'm praying with other gentlemen, and so, no, I wasn't thinking my wife was going to get a chronic illness. But when it happened, it was like, oh, okay, I put all of this into the bank, all this spiritual into the bank. Now, Josh, when somebody says, hey, E, we got a $75,000 product and we can give it to you for 45 grand, you know what I'm saying? Or you got to move into this house and you need $100,000 down payment. You've been saving for 15 years. You didn't know where you was going to need the money, but you happen to have 100 grand for the down payment. So I'm not saying I was ready for MS per se. I'm not saying that. I'm saying though, but I had put so much up spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and financially that when it came, I was able to take that out of the bank and use it for whatever that situation
Yep,
was.
no, and as you talking now, I'm trying to, me, I'm an entrepreneur, and Josh is an entrepreneur, and I'm thinking back to the story Josh talked about, with his business partner, obviously, stealing all the money and doing them dirty. Even though it hurt, Josh, you were ready for the bounce back, right? And you were ready because of your skill set. And so that's why this kind of, is drawing my memory back to even the levels where you talk about having to go through the levels and get everything right and learn so that if something happens, you can rebuild that kingdom. He would always say all the time, you could take all my money out the bank, you could take my house, you could take everything. I'm going to be straight because I know how I got it. And so even in that, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, whatever, having the skill sets that you need. Okay, the economy crashed. Cool. It's a lot of people who, like 2008 when the economy crashed, something like that. When the economy crashed, there was a lot of people who went under and never rebounded because they had got there on some fugazi anyway. But there was a lot of people who economy crashed, and they might have had a bad year, 2 years, whatever, but they back on top now because they knew how they made it and they were ready in their skill sets, right? Internally, they were ready. They knew how they got there and they know how to get back. And that's why we're always pushing you guys listening to master your craft, to know yourself, to know what you're good at, to figure that thing out and go 1,000 miles an hour so that when something does happen, you're ready to go. And, it's funny. I was sitting here talking and I'm listening to all this Stay Ready stuff. And I had seen a commercial on TV and they got like this commercial now where they're like, you could buy all this freeze dry food, and I guess it's like there's a show, I can't remember. I think it's on National Geographic, but it's like End of the World Prepares or something like that, where people like building bunkers and like I don't know what exactly they think is gonna happen. You know what I'm talking about?
I seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen it, but
father was helping his daughter and son.
Yeah,
he was showing them how to get ready for the last days. They like literally going through.
Oh,
they building a wall. They doing out in the wilderness. Yeah, it's intense.
Yeah, no, they going in, bro. They got this bunker, I guess they building, and they got freeze dry food. And I saw it was crazy. This had nothing to do with the show. I actually saw a commercial that was like, yo, you need freeze dried like ice cream and all kind of stuff that they had like freeze dried in case the end of the world came. I was like, oh, that's the epitome of Stay Ready. So, but yeah, no, good stuff, fellas. I appreciate y'all indulging me in that. Real quick, Josh, man, you been on the squad for what? How long now? About a month now, a little over a month. I'm sure the people are excited to hear from you about, how you feel about the full-time transition into an ETA full-time and kind of where, you are with it. Please don't divulge all our business now that you're in our house full-time. You know what I'm saying? You get in, you find out we ain't swept the rugs in a minute, but how's the transition been? How's it been for your family? How does it feel to be a part of the greatest company on earth?
It's been great. See, it's been so much fun working with the team and working with the squad. Building the business is a lot of fun, but building a business actually is just a natural byproduct of the healthy relationships with everyone on the squad and the things that we're working on. And I believe I'll let Karl, decide, but I think we made some great strides on what we're looking to do in 2017 together. The our Breed University community is stronger than it's ever been, and we pour into that community, and it's amazing. That community pours into us, and that's probably the most rewarding part of this transition, is just seeing how that community pours back into the ETA nonstop. For the family, my family, thank you for asking. It's been a great transition. My little girl, who's the most positive soul in the world, always walks up to me and says, "Are you working with Mr. E today? You tell him hi and he can succeed." I'll make sure I tell him. I'll make sure I can tell him. But I'm super pumped about what we're doing, what we're working on, the direction of the company. That it's an honor and a privilege to work with you said the greatest company in the world, and to be working with people at the height of their profession right now. It's been incredible. I'm having a blast with it, and again, I think we're doing some things right now that absolutely will impact the world in 2017 and beyond, and continue to push this message.
Awesome, man. Well, it's been a blast having you on the team. I remember I always used to have to call Josh and be like, hey, you got 5 minutes for me? I got like 6 questions to run down for you, and I'll be out of your hair. And now, we talk every day. We're working on stuff together, and it is literally sometimes when you're a small company, bringing people on and bringing people into the fold can be, kind of a sticky situation, getting everybody used to it. But I don't know how many years we said now. Josh has been, like family for 4 years. So to have him, fully entrenched in the squad now has been the most natural transition. You guys will see him. He'll be in Philly and New York. I told you can't miss him. He's like 7'5" white guy who rolls with us. So you will not miss him, man. If you see him at the conference, go up to him, shake his hand, welcome him to the family, man. You guys are going to be seeing a lot of them. Real quick, I do have before we get out of here, a couple announcements. Before we do, I have a fair file today. I will say that. I do have a fair file. But today's episode is brought to you by Breathe University. BreatheUniversity.com, man. Shout out to everybody who took advantage of the Black Friday Cyber Monday special. That was just off the chain, man. We had a bunch of new people join our community. And I'll tell you what, you guys, this was, and Josh sent me over the numbers, but I looked at it. I think the thing that made me happiest business-wise over this entire weekend, this Thanksgiving weekend and Black Friday and Cyber Monday and all of that, and this is to everybody listening who's been like, is it real? How does it work? Is it whatever? The amount of people that we had take advantage of the Black Friday Cyber Monday sale who are already in Breathe University and re-upping for the next year was incredible. Right? It's one thing, and trust me, I love everybody who comes in, the new people who come in, thank you so much. But to have people who have been in BU for an entire year and a half say, oh, I got to take advantage of this sale right now, and they re-upped for their entire next year, 2017. They've already done that because of how much they've grown in the community. Josh, I don't know if you can speak to it, but we had a ton of people upgrade their membership from a mid-level to the highest level and say, I have to get this. And to me, that is the biggest testament to what we're doing. It's one thing for a bunch of new people to come on who've never been in it, but people who've been in it for 6 months to a year saying, oh, I got to take advantage of this. That really just warmed my heart and said, man, we are doing the right thing. People are growing and loving what we're doing.
Yeah, see, it's incredible, the response that we had, like you said, and the amount of people that up their memberships. For me, it's pretty simple. It comes down in BU. People say, well, what is BU? Well, it's a community, right? It's a living, breathing community that these people get to be part of. But once you get in BU and you're at a certain level, you want more, because what BU allows you to do in your life, whether it's in your relationships, your business, or in many other areas, your fitness, whatever it is, and there's many more things coming, as you know, that we'll be letting everybody know about into BU in 2017. So it's only getting better as far as what we can offer. But what it does is it allows people to really condense time. We try to help people condense time on their success, on their health, on the happy marriages. And so they get in this community, and what maybe would take them 2 years now takes them a year and a half or 1 year. We just allow people to condense time on their results.
Oh, man, it's been so phenomenal, man. Shout out to everybody in BU. We thank you guys a million for joining us. And as Josh said, man, I've seen some of the content that we're bringing in 17, and the content that's already up there is amazing. But the financial course literally is coming ASAP. Shout out to my man Rob Wilson, who will be heading up our financial course here at the top of 2017. I've seen his content, some of the stuff he's bringing on the calls, and just tremendous. If you've been trying to figure out your finances and how to invest and all those things, we're bringing that to you at Breathe University. All right, so go check that out, breatheuniversity.com. If you didn't get a chance to check that out already, go check out what we're doing. You guys will love it over there. All right, fair file, guys. We'll get out of here. ET, get the nugget of the day ready, but I do have a fair file. And you guys, and be honest, you're not going to hurt my feelings. Fair file. I, later today, will be calling the company in Atlanta to deliver and set up my Christmas tree. Fair file. Now let me set this up. Let me give myself
Please.
Hold on.
Please.
I got a bad shoulder. Okay? Y'all know from the podcast I'm not making this up. I got a bad shoulder. And so the other day, listen, We were gone for a month. I was out of my house for a month. Like, we were back in Michigan. We went to LA. We went to Australia. We came back to Michigan, stayed in Michigan for the whole week of Thanksgiving. We got back home, and actually on the plane back, I said to my wife, I said, babe, I said, I don't think I have the energy to go out, pick out a Christmas tree, bring it back, get the base, set it up, call somebody to help me set it up. We got high ceilings in the living room, so it's always like a 10-foot tree. It's heavy. I'm going to be real. I told her, just to make, you know how you try to set it out there, and she actually didn't trip. She was like, oh, okay, yeah, I feel that. Partly because the tree last year fell. Let me say that as well. We came home one day from dinner, and the tree was just laying on the ground. I told y'all, I do one thing very well, right? I don't do a whole lot well. But fair or foul, I'm about to call this 1-800 number, and they are going to deliver a tree, set it up, and they're going to come get it and take it out the day after Christmas.
America,
fair or foul?
America.
Fair or foul? Just be honest with me.
I'm saying if your shoulder hurt, it's fair.
Thank you, E. That's what I said. The shoulder, I'll be honest, the shoulder was actually a last-second cop-out. I was like, shoot, when I go on the podcast, what can I say to make this sound a little bit more favorable? Oh, my shoulder
Trey
hurts.
can't do it. Avery can't do it. And I know Candace probably could do it. I don't know if that's her swag, though.
Yeah, but I told my dad, and he was like appalled. He's like, son, part of the joy is going out with your family, picking out that perfect tree.
Oh, part of it.
Watching them cut it down for you, putting it on top of the truck, driving it home,
but that's not all
setting it up, decorating it.
All of it is having it in there when the kids wake up in the middle of
Thank
the night
you.
With the lights on.
Thank you.
That's the biggest part. But yeah, I definitely feel him. I had to go out and get one, and well, I don't know if I keep mine in the basement, so I don't even know if that counts. I just bring it up. I don't do a fresh tree.
Hey, and you know what's so funny though is Trey Karl sent me Jordan's. Karl sends it just the other day when I know I'm about to do this. Karl, Karl, Josh, and E got a group text that goes, 24/7. This thing can go off at any moment. And I go in there the other day after I figured out what the fair foul was going to be for this week. And Karl sends me a picture of his beautiful tree already up. And not only that, he presses a button and Jordan's train set rolls around the tree like 10 times. And I'm like, oh, unbelievable. This fair foul is going to get even worse for me. But all right, E says it's fair. So I got E on my side. So this time we don't have to do E or C. So E's on my side. Karl.
Hey, so you kind of balanced it out for me by what you said in terms of course, your shoulder. I'll give you some for that, but the piece for me was, and like E, my tree, I don't have no live tree. Like, we just keep the tree from year to year, bring a new one up. Like, that's how I.
Oh yeah,
my
so I don't even want to hear nothing you got to say.
Pieces. That's what I'm saying. So that's a whole different construct.
I'm going real.
Yeah, no, that's a whole different. Hey, what I did though is I bought the pine scented air freshener so we could simulate that feeling.
Yeah, no, hey, now that's foul. That's a whole. Hey, real tree or fake tree, fair or foul. I'm saying a fake tree is foul. I grew up with a real tree in the house my entire life. When you brought it in, it smelled like pine. You had to water it the whole night. So I'm trying to stick to that tradition.
Hey,
but I will say it is a lot more work than just going downstairs and grabbing the tree stand with one hand.
For sure.
Boom, and bringing it up already
I've never
decorated.
seen a live tree, but on TV. I've seen it on TV in the movie, but I've never experienced it.
Hey, let me pull my card. I grew up in Barbados, doggone it. We ain't had nothing close to a live tree. You better get that piece of plastic and put that joint up.
Y'all had real trees.
Yeah, but what your dad is saying, the one piece of doing it with your kids, you know what I'm saying? Like that, I got a lot out of that, but you're not a dad that not with your kids anyway. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're going to get stuff with your kids out of it regardless. I'm saying, but for me, of course, the piece with the train and Jordan, like, that's his thing. So that was huge for him.
I'm on there. I was like, I looked at had a little website. I think the delivery setup and then the takedown recycle, they'll come get it, was like $150. I was like,
fair.
Please. Oh, that's
fair.
Done. I give you 200. Done deal. And so they coming to get. But like, does the fact that the tree fell last year have anything to do with it? I'll be real. I had it in there. I screwed the doggone thing into the base. My hands were full of sap. I did all of that. I was excited. We decorated the tree. It was a beautiful big tree that we picked out. I came home that night. It was all over the ground. And so then I picked it up because I saw Candace's face. She was just appalled. I picked it up. by myself, re-straightened it, but it was like had a gangster lean for the rest of the holiday season. And Candace she never was excited about the tree again. And then after Christmas, she was like, I'll be real, I wish you would have just threw that tree out from the day it fell. So actually, when I told her what I was thinking about doing, she was like, yes, I think that is a tremendous idea. Call somebody, have them set it
thought
up.
it was. I know she ain't into. She from Detroit. She definitely ain't into that. But I got to give mad props though. Karl not only with the best tree. We live in the same neighborhood, so you know, you kind of looking around. Our neighborhood is real dry this year. I don't know. It's like it's a recession.
Are y'all doing any lights? Does anybody do?
Karl
Josh, we didn't
lights.
hear from
That's
you. Josh,
what
you doing a
I'm
real
saying.
tree or fake tree?
So we have a fake tree and real wreaths in the house. So we get the real wreaths to give the smell. The fake
That's
tree.
it, Josh. I
Nice,
like that.
Josh.
And then
The
real
compromise.
So I really, this topic is really in my favor because I'm the only one doing a real tree. Doggone it.
All day, every day. Yeah, I promise you. I didn't even know why we put the Christmas tree up. Our kids is gone. I don't even know why we put one up, but we did, Josh. You know, but to my point, Karl has to get the pub. He got one of the best. Other than like some people in our neighborhood got these big old, I don't know what this mess is. They got not Santa Claus, but I guess that's the Minions and some other little animated creatures out there. But Karl got the candy cane. He got that sucker lit out. I'm like you, Josh. I did my part. I got 2 reefs outside with some blinking lights. That's about the extent of what I'm gonna do. But yeah, Karl came with it this year.
Josh, you doing any lights on the outside of the house or what?
We've got a strand, a little something that says "Joy" lit up out front on the banister, just enough to say we did it, just enough that's easy to put up and take down.
No question.
Yeah, and you know what? See, you're more than fair on yours for one reason. With your kids, they don't know if it's fake or real tree. Who set it up at this age? You have a couple years. Yeah, in 3 years.
Yeah. Well, a part of the reason I thought about, I'll be real. I'm sitting here, I'm talking a little cash, but the real reason is I would consider doing the fake tree this year, especially after the debacle of last year. But my parents are coming down, and my parents did not do a fake tree until every single kid was out of the house. So until Aaron turned 18, they did a real tree every single year while we were growing up, and they have like almost sworn me to a blood oath of doing a real tree, and they will be down here, I believe, on the 21st or 22nd for Christmas and through the New Year. And so I didn't have the heart to put up a fake tree and have to hear my mom and dad blast me for a whole Christmas season. So
I feel bad, Karl. I ain't never even thought about a real
Never.
tree. Wow.
Hey, you know the Quinny's got some traditions now. We do
for
traditions.
sure. Yeah.
We into that, bro. We do Sunday dinner together. We doing all kind of traditions. The cider meal during the fall. We got the Christmas tree tradition. So my
maybe
folks
my
will be down.
grandkids. We'll start out with the real
Started
tree.
now.
Yeah,
But
we'll
man,
start
you
with
know
the
what
real
though?
tree.
It was crazy because me and E were in Australia and they don't have Thanksgiving, obviously. So they've been into the Christmas season. I promise you, they were into the Christmas season. When we got there, they had the Christmas music, everything. But does anybody else just? I know it's a little soft, but I just feel warm and fuzzy when I'm at the mall and you hear the Christmas music.
Oh, no question.
I went to daycare yesterday to pick up Avery in her little classroom. They had the Christmas music playing. Man, it's just a good feeling and a good season, man. A good time to, just get some hot chocolate, man, and just enjoy the season, man. It's a great time of year.
I'm gonna tell you something. Michigan is the only time where people are hospitable. It's right after Thanksgiving and January 2nd. So I love it.
No doubt.
People letting you get over in the lane. They
Oh,
let you
yeah,
get in
for
front of them
sure.
at the cash register. People are saying hello, happy holidays.
Yeah.
It's the best time of the year. If you are Midwestern, this is when everybody's nice. But January 2nd or 3rd, when everybody go back to work on that Monday,
it's back to beef.
it's over.
Yeah, it's back to beef, no doubt. All right, cool, y'all. Well, I hear Trey pitter-patting down the stairs, and so I'm going to have to go get him ready for school because y'all started 20 minutes late. Not sure if that was E or K, but we'll let the viewers decide once again, or I should say the listeners. Real quick, New York on Saturday, Philly on Sunday. Go to etinspires.com/events. If you have not done so already, if you know somebody in Philly, you know somebody in New York, call them up and tell them to be there. It is going to be off the chain. These are our last 2 conferences of the year, and we're going in. We hitting y'all with everything we got. We're going over the stuff we've been over already this year, just in terms of recapping. We're going into the Stay Ready. E is on fire. He's ready to go, fresh off the trip from Australia with some new content. So it's going to be amazing. We look forward to seeing y'all there. ET, go on and hit us with that nugget of the day so I can get out of here.
Hey y'all, nothing deep today, but I got up this morning and crazy guys. I just want to tell y'all don't ever not put in the effort, And I got up this morning. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, about 2:30, and I kind of did the get dressed kind of thing that night, put on all my little gear so when I got up I can go in the basement and get my routine started. And I went straight in the basement, y'all. Look what I'm saying, straight in the basement. And some of you did the same thing I did today, and I was about an hour into it and realized I didn't even check to see if I could go outside. Like, it had been cold maybe 3 or 4 days in a row in the 30s, and I was like, yo, I can't afford to get sick. But listen to what I'm telling you. I literally went downstairs. I went straight downstairs, put on my shoes, began my routine. I didn't even look. It would take absolutely nothing to go on my phone and hit the weather app and see, if it's 45 degrees. Anything between like 43 and 45, I don't mind getting dressed and going out. But I didn't even try because 3 days in a row, it was cold. And some of you are just like that. Like, you're not putting the effort in no more. It's like, all right, so I passed, I failed my exam. So you like, look, I failed. I don't even have the energy to try no more. Like, some of you guys, you're married and you guys are like glorified roommates. Things ain't going well. And you just kind of like, look, I'm not even going to try to make it work. Some of you, maybe you and your siblings aren't close, or you and the best friend got into it and you like, I'm through. Like, you're not even trying anymore. And so I'm just trying to tell you, like, I felt bad. I can't explain it, but 45 minutes, an hour into it, I was like, yo, E, you didn't even try. You didn't even put forth effort to see if it was warm enough to go outside. Like, you kind of like in your mind, you settled with, all right, it's too cold. I probably won't be able to go back outside until the end of May, the beginning of June. Like, that's where I was mentally. Like, yo, forget it. Don't even try. And so I'm just saying to somebody, do me a huge favor. Just try today. Like, just try to put forth effort. I'm not even saying, like, solve the problem. I'm not even saying that. I'm not even saying go take the test. I'm not even saying that. But I'm saying, like, pick up the phone and call and see when the test is. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, go online and see, when is the next time you could actually study for the exam. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, I'm saying, don't just give up. Don't just throw in the towel. Don't just surrender. Like, this area of your life is too important just to throw in the towel. Like, you deserve more. Like, you are a good person. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to have healthy relationships. Like, you deserve to be a winner. So do me a favor, like, kill the defeated attitude. Kill that loser mindset where you don't even try. And look, everybody loses. Like, that's a reality. Everybody fails. Like, that's the reality. Like, for real, everybody makes mistakes. Like, nobody's perfect. But a loser, to me, is not a person that loses the game in terms of the score, or a loser is not somebody that, they never experience, winning. No. A loser is somebody that has the mentality that I just quit. I just throw in the towel. Things aren't going the way I think they should go, or the pressure is too deep, or I've been in this circumstance or situation too long, and you had that attitude where you just give up and you give in. And I'm asking you to do yourself a favor and don't lose effort. Don't ever get to the point where it's, the third quarter and you gave up, or it's the fourth quarter and you down by a few points and you just like, there's no way to win. I can't win, so I'm just gonna quit. You just pull the cord out of the video game. You that kind of person. Like, no, don't do that. Like, go all the way to the end, because winning is a mindset first. The behavior comes second, but it's the mentality first. So do me a favor. I know it hurt. I know it was painful to get rejected. I know it hurt when you saw that you failed that test. I know it hurt. Let's be real. It wasn't a good feeling. I get that. But the worst feeling is not that initial feeling you had when you found out you failed. The worst feeling was the one when you quit, when you surrendered, when you said, look, I can't do this anymore. I'm tired. I give up. That's the part that hurts. And that's the part that's permanent. So do me a favor, find the energy, find the why, find the reason, find the strength to keep going. Because if you stay in this attitude, you'll be a permanent loser. But if you get back up and say, I'm gonna try again, I guarantee you, you are a winner as soon as you think like that. But eventually, you will also be a winner, like for real, in reality. So don't give up, don't give in, don't quit, keep going.
I want you to focus on here right now. Don't you worry about when you get home. You concentrate on this opportunity. You don't worry about tomorrow. You concentrate on this opportunity with all your might.